Yeah, or at least put your cell phones on silent, because that's all you're getting from me, so I can't ask any more from anybody else. But with that, I will call the board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Again, good morning and welcome to all of our guests. Today is Student Government Day, and we're happy to have a big crowd to participate in that today. First item of business is consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I have an addition.
Very well.
Add item 8F. That would be under administration, or under environmental services. My understanding is that this was submitted but not received. The background information that should be in the packet, if the item were already on the agenda, is in your inboxes. Item 8F, Brent Reiner, R&R Excavating, 1149 Highway 22 South, Hutchinson, Minnesota, request review and approval of conditional use permit 25-06 for a new gravel mining permit for purposes of mining and filling on property owned by Nicholas Schutte for a 5-year time period. We would read the entire agenda item when we get to environmental services, and a copy is with each of you.
Very well. We'll add it with the caveat that we'll discuss if there's any other people that potentially need to be here for the discussion, but we'll do that under the actual agenda item. Any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a question, I guess, for you as well. We got a late email on our letter or recommendation, or at least, and it's not on the agenda, so I don't know if we want to have discussion. I seen you were copied on the email, so I'm open for recommendation. It was sent to us by Liz, our economic development coordinator.
Oh, yeah. Liz, do you see that as needing to be an agenda item or a conversation with Commissioner Kruger and I?
Mr. Chair, I can help. Those are individual letters from commissioners that are being requested and does not need to be on the agenda. It doesn't require board action.
You agree?
Okay,
Thank you.
I took it as a board action.
Yeah,
so-
and I took it the other way, so thank you for the clarify. So we'll leave it off of the agenda. Any other additions or corrections?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Schmalz to approve the agenda with the addition. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I made a mistake.
Okay,
During the consideration of agenda items, I should have let you know that number 4, our community spotlight, Mr. Harlander is not available today, and that's going to be postponed. I apologize.
that's fine.
Thank you.
So, well, it is part of the agenda. Community spotlight was scheduled for today from Chad Harlander regarding the REACH program at the Hutchinson High School. Had to be rescheduled, so that's done. So we can move on to the next item in our agenda, the County Attorney's Office. Mr. Hanch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one item for the board's consideration today. That's to consider authorizing the county attorney to enter into and sign a renewal contract with Thomson Reuters for access to the electronic database of state and legal federal resources necessary to fulfill civil and criminal functions of the county attorney's office. So the county attorney's office has access to Westlaw, which is an electronic database for state and federal legal resources, in order to perform its civil and criminal functions. This access is an associated expense, has been and remains included in the county attorney's office budget. This is not a new expense. For this access to continue, a renewal agreement is necessary. Several options were obtained and reviewed from this vendor, Thomson Reuters. The option that best meets the county needs is a 3-year agreement with options to extend that agreement by an additional first year and a second additional year. Accordingly, the term of agreement can either be 3, 4, or 5 years at the county's option. As this is an IT vendor and an IT contract, there's confidentiality terms and conditions that preclude this from being included in the packet, the contract in total, which is why this resuscitation is a bit longer than usual. But year one of the contract calls for a 4% increase over the existing agreement with scheduled increases thereafter. So, Commissioner Nagel, you're probably familiar, we just went through and looked at options for the law library, who we sit on the board there, and we actually changed from LexisNexis, a different vendor, to Westlaw, which is far more utilized, and it was a better deal for the law library as well. So, this is our office's version, so, thank you.
Yes, and the only thing, if you said it, I'm sorry. If you said it, I'm sorry. If I'm not seeing it, I apologize twice, but the funding source that we use, the law library fund, or out of your office?
For this one, it's out of our office budget, and it's a budgeted item.
Very
The law library had its own standalone budget and funding.
Very good. Wishes of the board? I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Nagel, second by Commissioner Wright, to approve the renewal contract with Thomas Reuters. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, building maintenance.
Mr. Chair, I'll go over item A with Joe Morgan. We were hoping that Sheriff Langenfeld would be available as well, but he is not able to be here yet.
Okay,
Thank you. Consider approving the proposal from MEI, which is Minnesota Elevator in Mendota Heights, Minnesota, to replace the elevator jack in the McLeod County Jail at a cost of $105,135.71. I am changing this item a bit because it says with funds from the county building's major repair budget. We're actually asking that we leave it open for which fund would need to be used, because that is a little bit of a premature decision there, not knowing what other funds can be used. It's possible that the public safety funds that were awarded to the county, I believe December 2023, that those can be applied towards a repair. They cannot be applied towards a building addition, but they may be able to be used for a repair, so it should be considered to use those. And that the county administrator be appointed as an alternative authorized representative. So the problem is that we don't have a complete quote right now, but we are out at least 10 weeks. The elevator is tagged out. It's completely out of service. It is our elevator in the sheriff's office, the only secure route for inmates to go from the jail into the courtrooms. And I'll let Sheriff Langenfeld just go over the importance. We spoke again this morning of having that elevator, and we don't have an alternative route that's secure.
So if we don't have this elevator, the only other route to the courts are through the public spaces. So we've had a history of an inmate fleeing, getting away out the doors, and causing a manhunt for, I think that was a full day, that handful of years ago. So in order to keep them out of the public spaces, this elevator has to be up in operation. It also causes us a big issue with jury trials, because if there's a jury seated, they cannot see the inmate handcuffed, detained in any way, so we would have to completely separate the jury out of the area, get the inmate into the courtroom, and then bring the jury in, which isn't impossible. We've done it, but it really slows down the process, and I don't know if Ryan has anything he wants to add to that or not, but it does affect that whole process as well.
Well, Mr. Chair, I mean, on that piece, that is a real issue. Our jury deliberation rooms are in the hallways adjacent to the courtrooms, and the restrooms that the jury often uses until they're seated and in deliberations are in those same hallways. So, to minimize any potential conflict there is difficult if we have someone in custody that's not utilizing the elevator. And, I mean, that can be cause for a mistrial or other things that we certainly don't want to go down, but so that's a real issue.
Mr. Chair, sorry, one more note. We've spoken just to find that this is an urgent issue. It's not an emergency. We don't want to alarm people, but it is very urgent because of the impact that can be caused, as they noted. There is not another route, like a staircase that's by that elevator for them to take, and Sheriff Langenfeld and I went over that in detail this morning. Joe Morgan has been working on that for over a week. So the elevator has been out of service for a number of days. They've been making the arrangements necessary. But even to get the part that possibly may need to go in underneath the elevator shaft, which we can't see, is at least 10 weeks out. If, let's say the elevator had to be replaced, that's 16 to 20 weeks out. We don't have another board meeting for 3 weeks. So we're asking you to approve this in the case that this is found to be the best solution. But before we would choose which funds to use, we would consult with the budget committee and ask that you appoint them to be able to approve which fund to use. Thank you.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes, to be honest, we're talking two different subjects. We wouldn't have the elevator if it wasn't needed. So I know very much that it's needed, but I also know other counties, for instance, Sibley walked their prisoner all the way from the jail to the courthouse. So I mean, I know it's feasible, and the only reason for bringing that up is I'm not prepared today to throw $100,000 at that elevator if that elevator's no good. And I don't see that in here. I mean, this has been a problem since day one, when we built this jail, that elevator does something different. And I was looking, or I was hoping for, and when we had a short meeting yesterday, that we would have some options on what to do with that elevator.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
You and I discussed this before the meeting, and sorry, but Commissioner Kruger, you weren't available for the update. So would you like to go over those items that we discussed?
Well, I don't know that I'll do it justice, but I think we don't know what we don't know right now. And I think throwing the elevator out and replacing it is potentially an option, I mean, with approval. But that's that $150,000, 16 to 20 weeks out, if I'm reading my chicken scratches of notes correctly. So somebody jump in here and fill in the blanks, because that's kind of where I see it. We don't know what we don't know. We need to figure out what's broken. We need to, in my opinion, we need to fix it. We probably should have done some other, my understanding is the controls were fixed during the jail remodel, but not the elevator itself. Correct?
So in an email that I saw this morning from Contegrity, pretty much every piece of that elevator has been replaced or repaired in the last 10 years, except for the shaft.
Just a slight correction, so that was from MEI,
Oh,
that
yeah.
that response.
Minnesota elevator.
Yeah, so, and historically, they're not seeing, they call it a jack, that's the cylinder that raises it up and down. They don't typically see those failures. So that's the reason why they didn't push it at that time. Now we're living with a failure, and with the controls and the other components replaced, at least from their perspective, they're recommending the jack replacement for.
So, I did not see the update, so.
Yeah, it literally just came this morning, and there was a few of us communicating about stuff, so.
Now, having said that, this money is being, if we authorize this spending and they get into it and it's something different or way different from what they anticipate, what do we do from there?
Yeah, so I think ultimately, the cylinder needs to be removed, whether you replace it or not.
Sure.
So that has to be removed. If there was leakage into the ground, that has to be dealt with. I don't know the percentage to say. I think it's likely there is a case around it. So either way, whether you put a new one in or not, you still have to remove the shaft and the oil, the oil that's in there and what's in the ground, and then fill that in if you go with a different route. So there would be expenses on that.
Okay, this
Mr.
is a
Chair,
lot more
so-
information than I had, so I appreciate that. I was not aware of all, they're saying all the components except this have been updated or replaced during our time.
Yeah, I mean, my thing was to reach out to them and say, hey, and this is gonna end up taking longer, but, what was done at that time? Where do they see the actual structure being, and they're thinking, 10, 15, 20 years, life since the controls were upgraded. And we've gotten 40 years out of the cylinder itself already, so.
Is this a not to exceed number, or is this?
So
Well, I
this,
think that's, forgive me, guys, I think that's what we gotta work out the most, is how this
Yeah.
language, and Ryan, jump in here, or whomever's got this, however this language looks regarding the spending and the dynamic nature of this project. Would you agree with that?
So just to be clear, the clauses that are built in are not a part of this. So in the best case scenario, this is the highest cost, meaning this is double time on Sunday. This is, if we can get them in, earlier on a Friday, we can save on labor. If they run into problems, and that would be whether we replace this unit or not,
Yep.
that's where more costs would come in. And unfortunately, we just don't know until it starts, right?
Mr. Chair, and that's noting that we are anticipating having to do outside business hours work because of this would be very disruptive and
Yeah.
you would not be able to perform the work during.
Yeah, even the
courts
call
and-
center, right? I mean, we're gonna have, big saws in there cutting this shaft that's, 5 or 6 inches in diameter, and then the outer portion of it as they pull it up. So it has to be taken into, 9 pieces in order to remove everything, and then the new stuff comes in that many pieces as well, so.
So I just want to note that this request is only to replace the elevator jack at that cost, not to exceed, of course. Hopefully it's less. But if this were to change considerably, we would need to come back to the county board at the next meeting, which is not for 3 more weeks.
And we can throw in another meeting if we have to, as long as we post that, and this
Correct.
might be one of those scenarios where we'd have to do that. Again, I guess the only question I have, I'm ready to move forward with it. To figure out if this is the problem, if it's not, we gotta do something different. The only thing I wanna make sure we get right is the language and how this money is spent, because this isn't necessarily, is it as simple as say not to exceed that number, Ryan, or is it more complicated than that? How do you want us, and we haven't voted yet, that's my opinion, but if that were to go forward, I just wanna make sure we're, in detail how that looks.
I mean, I think if the motion included a not to exceed, that, that would that would alleviate the concern of just a kind of a bottomless pit here. I mean, and, just if there's a motion and an authorization, unless and until we have that clarity that, this is exactly how we want to move forward, all the other alternatives have been looked at. I think you just authorize, whether it's Mr. Morgan or the administrator or both, to enter in, give them the authorization, but understand that, pen won't go to paper until they're convinced that there's not a better alternative. I think a motion just to approve this with a not to exceed in that direction to staff would suffice.
Mr. Chair, I have an edited agenda item that I would propose.
Very well.
Item A, consider approving the proposal from MEI, Mendota Heights, Minnesota, to repair the elevator, so it's not just the jack, in the McLeod County Jail at a cost not to exceed $105,135.71, with fund balance determined by the Budget Committee, and that the county administrator be appointed as an alternative authorized representative.
Any questions from the board on that proposed motion? Yes, Joe, go ahead.
The dilemma, so if we decide to go with MEI, there's no way to determine that it's not gonna cost more. So they're gonna order the jack, which is probably $60,000, right, of this 105. That's that portion. Then the other portion as of right now is their labor for removing an installation. If there's problems, the other stuff is not included. And if we set it at this, yes, we could come back and say, they ran into stuff, we need, an emergency meeting, there is gonna be more expenses, and there's no way to really know what that is. Like, they're talking about a potential jack to pound in a case, a drilling operation.
So what do you recommend then?
I'm just wanting to make you aware of it, because if you're making a motion thinking that this is only 105,000, a worst-case scenario is more money.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we do all realize that, but this is,
Yeah.
but in your opinion, is this a good place to start? Is this where we
Yes.
start?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Nathan?
I think the language that Sheila proposed is very good, but maybe we could edit it to say to repair or replace, which would kind of take care of Joe's concerns there.
Replacement, it would be at least $150,000, and I think that should come back to the board, and you would probably need a special meeting, so that's why I didn't include it.
Mr. Chair?
Just a second, Nathan, anything further?
No, nothing.
Okay, Commissioner Kruger?
Yeah, that's my dilemma, but I guess doing nothing is not an option.
Right.
So we have to figure it out, and it just, if they run into some, we just have to stop. I mean, that's just the way it is, and we'll have to have a special meeting, because we don't, like Joe said, or Chair said, we don't know what we don't know. But again, if it's what they think it is, and what you explained to me, I wasn't sure that was a cylinder drive and not a cable drive, but whatever, I guess we have to find that out. And if it goes out of this area of proposal, we'll have to consider. And I've got a little more information than I had this morning, and that gives me some,
Yeah.
positive that other stuff has gone through, and if it's a cylinder, let's find out. So I'm okay with that as long as,
It's
know,
definitely the
that
cylinder
we
is
have all
the
the
issue.
cautions that in place here, so again, until we open it up and look, and I remember this from before, you can't get at this thing, and it's,
It's
It is
28,
what
30
it is.
feet in the ground.
I know.
I mean, it's,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Paul?
I think after listening to Joe's asked for perhaps some leeway on some extra bills that might come up, I think we need to up the ante on the dollar figure. End of the day, we need this elevator up and running, and have them come in and stop at a certain point, because we have to meet a week or two later in order to approve more funds to move forward. I think just kind of drags out the process and makes us take longer. So should we be adding some extra funds on top of that as a not to exceed, so that once you get started, you can get this thing moving? Because I'm not overly concerned about the repair or replace part. I think all of you that are involved in this are quite capable in working with Contegrity or MEI to find the best solution. But if we're gonna approve some dollars, should we just get it over with and make that not to exceed slightly larger, so that you have some extra funds to work with? Because we're obviously gonna have some unforeseen things once they start tearing things apart.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I also have that same concern. I've seen projects enough to know that, if this goes over by 1,000 or two, then they're gonna have to come back if we go to that not to exceed. If we give them a little bit more leeway, at least then, if there's some things that pop up that are minor, hopefully minor, then we can keep moving forward instead of having to do a special meeting for $5,000 or $10,000 extra.
Mr. Chair, it's not 5 or 10,000, but I hate to beat a dead horse here, but Joe has already said that this number is to their top expectations now. You've written everything in there, and I know how travel time and double time, and that's gonna have to be managed, because especially off hours, I mean, we're gonna have to manage whether it's worth getting it done as fast as we need it or not, but I'm just stuck because we don't know what's wrong. And this'll get us,
Well, I
this'll
mean-
get us there.
I mean, we know that the cylinder is bad, okay, the jack, it needs replacement. The unknown is what's going on down below. Can we get it out? If we can't get it out, then there's other equipment that has to get brought in order to get it out of there. So, unfortunately, the cylinder order, because of the lead time, that's 10 weeks, right? So you do that up front, and they come in and start pulling things out. We've already got it built, now we have that component that's, 60,000.
So you're saying that this has to be ordered before we even know what we need? Is
Well,
that
they
what
know,
the-
they did the measurements, they know what they need for the jack. They just haven't come in to try to take it out. We haven't authorized that, so that takes place too,
Mr. Chair, I spoke with Contegrity this morning, and, sorry, Joe, but that's part of the consideration and why we're working with them. They have a new recommendation, they would like to remove some of the concrete or do some further testing to be able to see that, because I don't know if that cylinder is a custom part, I'm assuming it is.
Yes.
And that it needs to be manufactured for us, and that's why it's a 10-week lead time, and we have done a good job of looking into all of these things in the past, so I'm asking that we approve as I edited the item, and I will note that it's MEI Total Elevator Solutions, headquartered in Mankato, Minnesota, just so you know. And I'm just gonna ask that we don't exceed that cost that's listed and not approve anything over, because that should not come before 3 weeks. That's not gonna come before 3 weeks, and we'll come back to the board if need be. That's all I would ask, or if you are going to approve over, that you wouldn't go too close to that $150,000 mark, because that would be a total replacement. And that's why we're working with the construction manager, and Joe is doing a good job of following up on everything.
All right.
Mr. Chair, for that reason, I'd make a motion to accept, our administrator's rewrite.
Sheila, will you read it again, please?
Item A, consider approving the proposal from MEI Total Elevator Solutions, Mankato, Minnesota, to repair the elevator in the McLeod County Jail at a cost not to exceed $105,135.71, with fund balance determined by the Budget Committee, and that the county administrator be appointed as an alternative authorized representative.
Commissioner Kruger, that's your motion?
Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second? I'll second it. Second by Commissioner Nagel. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Please keep us updated best you can.
Will do.
So, thank you. Who knew elevators could be so exciting on Student Government Day? So, item B.
So hopefully this next one will be a little easier here. So, consider awarding the lawn care contract to New Barth Landscaping in Glencoe, Minnesota for 2025 and 2026 for an estimated cost of $8,755, with funds from the courthouse building, government center building, and environmental services budgets.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Parks and Recreation.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
Item A, consider approving the estimate from Major Electric LLC out of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform various electrical work in Lake Marion Park at a cost of $12,397 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The project will include wiring of the existing garage for well work, reconnecting the septic system, adding electrical components to the office building, and wiring for 2 campground host sites. A second estimate was received from Wade's Electric out of Dassel, Minnesota at a cost of $19,720.
Move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I will be abstaining from this vote, just because it's a family member of mine.
Very well. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just because it's Student Government Day, maybe just an explanation, John, of how we came to all of these following agenda items, the funding and perhaps the long-range planning that went into place to get these to come today.
Sure, yep. So we recently completed a parks plan that looked at all of our 6 county parks and identified priority needs in each of the parks. And so I've got a list of items here that we're going to be going through today. And these are specifically working to create host sites for our campground hosts who take care of our campgrounds. So adding electrical, doing some well work. But ultimately, our goal is to increase the presence of our parks. Like I mentioned, we have 6 of them. And we're using American Rescue Plan Act funds that were allocated by the county board to make improvements to our parks. And so if you haven't been to all of our county parks, I would definitely recommend it. There's a lot to see and do there, and you'll definitely be noticing a lot of improvements in the next couple of years. We have until the end of 2026 to expend all the funds.
Very good.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just to add on to that, the American Rescue Plan funds came out of COVID. I mean, it came out of our rescue plan money, and we're limited to where and how we can spend this, and there was a lot of consideration by our board. As John said, is allocated from us, but we were limited to where we could put it. And we had a couple of meetings and long discussions on how it would benefit most of the citizens of McLeod County, and this came recommended, and our parks are nice and some of the needs we wanted, and this gave us a funding base to get it done.
And the only thing I'll add before I call the motion is, just so everybody is aware, a lot of meetings happened. We didn't just say, this isn't the first time we heard about 12 grand for this. There's a lot of meetings that go on throughout these planning processes, and by the time it gets to here, but the ultimate approval is at the full board. So with that, any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Consider approving the estimate from Shower and Sons Construction out of Silver Lake, Minnesota to install a 12-foot by 29-foot concrete pad for the Lake Marion Park office building at a cost of $3,890 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. A second estimate was received from Flatworks Concrete out of Glencoe, Minnesota at a cost of $4,350.
I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
And to add on to the comment that was made previously, why we can move through these things with haste is because most of this we've heard at a workshop prior to today's meeting. Workshops were conducted almost after every county board meeting. So if it looks like we're moving fast, it's because we've already had a discussion pertaining to these topics in workshop.
And sometimes arguments.
Okay,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C.
Consider approving the estimate from LTP Enterprises out of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform well infrastructure work in Lake Marion Park at a cost of $4,397.19 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The project will include installation of a new water line and pressure tank in the existing garage that will be used to service the campground host sites. A second estimate was received from Schaefer Well Company of New Ulm, Minnesota at a cost of $5,688.77.
Move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D.
Consider approving the estimate from Lutke Contracting out of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform water, sewer, and site pad work in Lake Marion Park at a cost of $12,200 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The project will include installation of 2 RV site pads, water lines to site pads, and sewer lines to site pads. A second estimate was received from Jerpy Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota at a cost of $12,875.
Wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Good to see local contractors bidding the jobs. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item
Item
forgive
E, consider approving the estimate from Lukey Contracting LLC at Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform park house foundation demolition at Lake Marion Park at a cost of $9,200 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. This work is dependent on the successful sale and move of the park house via the sealed bid process. A second estimate was received from Jerpy Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota at a cost of $10,226.25.
I'll move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
I'm being redundant, Mr. Chair, but just so their understanding is, this is for transparency and to go with, we could have done a blanket motion to fix it all, but this is for transparency of where the money goes specific to each project, so.
Any further discussion? Great points. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F.
Consider approving the estimate from Major Electric LLC out of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform various electrical work in Petersburg Park at a cost of $7,750 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The project will include wiring the existing garage for well work, reconnecting the septic system, adding electrical components to the office building, and wiring for 2 campground host sites. A second estimate was received from Wade's Electric of Dassel, Minnesota at a cost of $18,700.
Mr. Chair will be abstaining from this one as well.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Second by Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Chachka abstaining. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item G, consider approving the estimate from Shower and Sons Construction out of Silver Lake, Minnesota to install a 12-foot by 29-foot concrete pad for the Petersburg Park office building at a cost of $3,890 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. A second estimate was received from Flatworks Concrete of Glencoe, Minnesota at a total cost of $4,350.
Mr. Chair, I'll move request.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item H, consider approving the estimate from LTP Enterprises out of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform well infrastructure work in Petenburg Park at a cost of $4,397.19 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The project will include installation of new water line and pressure tank in existing garage that will be used to service campground host sites. A second estimate was received from Schaefer Well Company, Newell, Minnesota at a cost of $6,825.51.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chashka. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item I, consider approving the estimate from Lukey Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform water, sewer, and site pad work in Petenburg Park at a cost of $13,500 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The project will include installation of 2 RV site pads, water lines to site pads, sewer lines to site pads, and water line to site 4. A second estimate received from Jerby Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota at a cost of $17,400.
Move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item J.
Consider approving the estimate from Lukey Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota to perform park house foundation demolition in Petenburg Park at a cost of $14,560 with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. This work is dependent on the successful sale and move of the park house via the sealed bid process. A second estimate was received from Jerby Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota at a cost of $14,690.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item K, consider approving the estimate from Midwest Machinery of Glencoe, Minnesota to purchase a John Deere Z960M Z-Track at a cost of $13,000 with funds from the County Parks General Fund. The John Deere will replace a 2018 Ferris zero-turn that will be auctioned off in 2025. The plan is to upgrade one of the 4 park mowers every 2 years. A second estimate was received from Kranz Lawn and Power of Hutchinson, Minnesota for an Exmark Laser Z X Series at a total cost of $14,999.
Wishes of the board.
Move request, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. Morning. Item L, consider awarding project FG 117025-006, the Fairgrounds Bituminous Overlay Project to R&K Industries doing business as Diversified Paving out of St. Augusta, Minnesota at a cost of $80,364.17 with funds from the Fairgrounds budget. The engineer's estimate for this project was $110,821.25. We received 7 other bids ranging from $94,104 to $122,601.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Andrew, is this just a wear course over what work was completed there last year? Or what's the scope of the project?
Yep,
I guess
this
is my
project,
question.
this project is to mill and overlay the main entrance off of Century Avenue, as well as pave the southeast entrance off of Market Avenue, and then pave a gravel entrance that goes between the backside of the archery building to the movie theater parking lot.
Thank you, Andrew, for that,
Mr. Chair,
for that explanation.
Yes, Commissioner Kruger.
I appreciate, it's quite a wide range of bids, so I appreciate the work there and getting the bids. With that, I'll approve the low bid to R&K Industries.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Consider awarding project PK 520525-007, the Lake Marion Park Road Improvement Project to William Mueller and Sons of Hamburg, Minnesota, at a cost of $111,329.45, with coronavirus relief funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The engineer's estimate for this project was $133,516.50. We received two other quotes, one from R&R Excavating of Hutchinson at $137,764.46, and one from Knife River Corporation at a cost of $164,136.50. This project is to remove the failed bituminous pavement at the Lake Marion Park and add gravel surfacing and dust coat that surfacing.
Very well.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have a scheduled recess about 10. Is that what you were looking for, Stefan? The next item is environmental services, Mark. I'm just trying to organize our time here most effectively here, so.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes,
So the first item, I think item A is relatively straightforward. And then the added item this morning with Mr. Reiner on Nick Schutte property for that gravel pit. Brent informed me that he has a doctor's appointment this morning, so if we could take that second and then maybe the recess?
yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's do that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I don't wanna start splitting hairs either, but there's people here I know that that are trying to move along, so I'm not sure on the recess that we need to get through. I know Mr. Myers here.
Well, the recess is to allow the students to get to the courthouse.
Oh, okay.
That's,
Just
it'll be
short.
2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
If I can
No, you're
tie you
fine.
to your chair, so you don't run off. But, all right, so we'll take, unless there's any objections from other commissioners, we'll take item A right now.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So item A is to consider approving conditional use permit 25-04 as requested by Dan and Doris Lundeen for the conversion of an existing barn into an event wedding venue to be known as Green Haven Wedding Venue on their property located at 7132 207th Street, Silver Lake, Minnesota 55381, which is located in the agricultural district. This 5.37 acre rural residential building site is in section 25 of Hale Township. The barn sits on the south side of the property. The road splits the property into two pieces. The applicants live on site, which will ensure guests stay within the good neighbor policy. Venue capacity would be at 178 patrons. Waste management has been contacted to provide garbage dumpster waste services. Food and liquor will be catered. It will be serviced by a subsurface sewage treatment system, and the septic design to monitor has been received by our office. The Hale Township Board recommended approval on March 13th, 2025. The McLeod County Planning Advisory Commission recommended approval on March 26th, 2025 with the following conditions. Number one, hours of operation shall be 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Sunday through Saturday, which is 7 days, which is a full 7 days per week. Number two, all event parking shall be defined and signed to accommodate 75 vehicles on site and not along the driveway. Number three, permanent restroom facilities will be provided on site for the guests. Number four, on-site signage shall not exceed 10 square feet. And number five, all alcohol food shall be prepared and served by a licensed business. If food is prepared on site, the approved Minnesota Department of Health area shall be installed. Number six, rural garbage collection shall be required for the event venue facility, and as stated, waste management has already been contacted to provide that. Dan is in the back, he is present. Typically, these barn conversions, they do require structural analysis and has to be approved by the state through the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. That is a lengthy process, so working with the applicant, kudos to him. Dan does have construction experience and has done a very nice job with that, so he does already have approval by the state for that barn conversion.
Very good. You want it?
Mr. Chair
Yes.
and Mark, my assumption is the conditions that are placed on the permit are consistent with past applications that we've looked at. Am I, for the most part, correct on that?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, every site is unique, a little bit different, but very For the most part, they are very consistent. Hours of operation may change a little bit depending on location of neighboring properties, but this particular one, there is closest neighbor, I'd have to go back and measure it, it's about a quarter mile, so there was no impact. And because the owners live right on site, and they plan on being on site during these events, they will control that noise and crowd.
Thank you, Mark. And Mr. Chair, I will move the conditional use permit 25-04 as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Mark, are we taking item B or item F?
So it'd be the added item, item F, if
Okay.
I may. Brent Reiner, R&R Excavating, 1149 Highway 22 South, Hutchinson, Minnesota, 55350. Requests approval of conditional use permit 25-06 for a new gravel mining permit for purpose of mining and filling, no crushing, on property owned by Nicholas Schutte for a 5-year time period. The topsoil will be stripped and stockpiled for use in covering the excavation. The pit will be reclaimed to a 4-to-1 side slope for non-farming purposes. The haul route from the pit access enters directly onto 155th Street, which is County Road 11. This property is zoned agricultural. The proposed excavation area would be 9.32 acres of the 15-acre parcel, which is located in that part of the southeast quarter, the northeast quarter, section 20, Rich Valley Township. The Rich Valley Town Board recommended approval for this request at their March 12th, 2025 meeting. The McLeod County Planning Commission recommended approval on March 26th with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant shall submit a bond or letter of credit to McLeod County Environmental Services by May 15th, 2025 in the amount of $10,000. That's $1,000 per acre is what the ordinance requires for a minimum of $10,000. Number two, the hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday shall be permitted as needed with a 24-hour notice to McLeod County Environmental Services from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pump location shall be located nearest County Road 11 bridge on the far west part of this pit excavation area. Number three, the applicant shall meet all NPDES requirements and apply for a DNR dewatering permit if needed. NPDES is a National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, and that's if you're affecting more than 1 acre of land. So that is a federal permit. Number four, applicants shall follow all mining standards contained in section 16 of the McLeod County zoning ordinance. Number five, stockpiling of material should not be stored in the floodplain. Number six, applicant shall restore pit area to a 4-to-1 side slope 10 feet below the water line for non-farming purposes per the restoration plan on the survey. Number seven, there shall be no recycling of concrete or bituminous allowed in the pit. Number eight, McLeod County Environmental Services shall inspect all restoration work completed and approve with a letter acknowledging completion to release the bond or letter of credit back to the applicant. Number nine, the applicant shall fill the wetland portion of the excavation to an elevation of 987 or greater. The applicant shall submit an as-built survey verifying that this requirement of the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act is met per the McLeod County Soil and Water Office. Number 10, the applicant shall provide a 24-hour emergency plan to McLeod County Environmental Services to remove any and all stockpile or strippings upon flood warning. This plan shall be submitted prior to any work on site. Number 11, the closest point of mining shall be a minimum of 75 feet from the center line of 155th Street, County Road 11, 50 feet from the ordinary high water level of the South Fork Crow River, and 100 feet to the east property line. The east property line is a residence. And number 12, the haul route shall be from the pit area directly onto 155th Street, which is County Road 11. With that being said, Brent Reiner is here. I know we have a few neighbors that are here, so it's a pleasure of the board.
Very good. Mr. Reiner or any of the neighbors wish to address the board? Was an added item, so I'll give a little more latitude to anything that the board has to, regarding questions. Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So that there's an understanding with the guests we have here today on Student Government Day. Mark, you might want to explain, I mean, you look at several of these permits over the course of the years, and it may seem like there were a lot of conditions put on this particular request, but these are conditions that have been exercised previously for the most part. Am I correct on that, Mark?
Yeah, that is correct. So conditional use permits are vetted We have a joint powers agreement with our township associations, so the township that it occurs in, they have opportunity for review, and then that goes on to our planning commission for a public hearing. Public hearing, we notify property owners dependent on state statute in regards to distance, and the planning commission then holds that public hearing, takes public comment, and forwards a recommendation on to you, and you as a board have final decision in regards to these requests.
Thanks for that educational comment, Mark. Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back to you.
Any,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Commissioner Kruger?
you guys, you actually did an on-site visit there as well, right?
Yeah, the planning commission takes a road tour the morning of our meeting, so Commissioner Chachka was up early, and good thing she had her cup of coffee because it got to be a lengthy road tour. And this particular request with the number of conditions on there is just in proximity because it is in a tight location, and there was good discussion at the planning commission, and I believe that the planning commission did a nice job of trying to mitigate as many of these concerns as possible.
With that, with seeing no objections or from the audience or no comments, I would move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger to approve. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chachka. Any discussion? Hearing
Mr.
none-
Chair,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, I
No,
just
you're
want to kind of reiterate what Mark said. We worked pretty hard on this one. We worked with the landowner, we worked with the landowner next door, the neighbors, and I think we've come up with a fairly good agreement, but we've also said, you know, if there are issues that come up, that they will be addressed immediately to help the homeowner next door.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You cool with the recess right now then? All right, so what we'll do, Stefan, we're a little early. We'll have the students head to the courthouse. Thank you all for coming. I don't know if I'll be able to join you for lunch, but I really appreciate there, and most of us will try to be there, so. Thank you. We'll take, call it 5 minutes.
All right, students. So this is where time everyone want to rise, and we'll head out, go to the courtroom, and just a reminder, we're going to be going through security.
permanent. Well, that's what I wanted to show you.
Yeah, it'd be good to be on the same page.
It would be.
When you're next, we'll look at Thursday. Doug,
I don't know if I go by what that says. Some of that. And I assume
I completely screwed that up then.
All right, I think we're gonna get going. They don't get free gas. Anyway, we're gonna get the meeting going. Sir, can we have you have a seat, please? We're gonna start the meeting. All right, we're at, oh heck, I even lost track. We're gonna go item B, Mark? Yep.
We are on item B, thank you. So item B is consider approving conditional use permit 25-05 as requested by Brent Reiner of R&R Excavating, 1149 Highway 22 South, Hutchinson, Minnesota, for gravel mining and filling, no crushing or processing, for a 5-year time period on property owned by Randy and Jeremy Luthens. The haul route from the pit access enters onto 160th Street, which is a township road. The excavation area is 15.68 acres in size. This parcel is zoned agricultural and described as 30 acres in the southeast quarter of Section 14, Lynn Township. The Lynn Township Board recommended approval on March 11th, 2025. The McLeod County Planning Commission recommended approval on March 26, 2025 with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant shall submit a bond or letter of credit to McLeod County Environmental Services by May 15th, 2025 in the amount of $16,000. Number two, the hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday shall be permitted as needed with a 24-hour notice given to the McLeod County Environmental Service Office from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Number three, the applicant shall meet all state national pollution discharge elimination system and PDS requirements and apply for a DNR dewatering permit if needed. Number four, the applicant shall follow all mining standards contained in Section 16 of the McLeod County zoning ordinance, if not further restricted by this permit. Number five, the stockpiling of materials shall not be stored in the floodplain. Number six, the applicant shall restore the pit area to an 8-to-1, less than 12% side slope for, that should read for farming purposes. For farming purposes, there will be no open hole per the restoration plan, which was submitted via survey. Number seven, there shall be no recycling of concrete or bituminous. Number eight, the McLeod County Environmental Services shall inspect all restoration work completed and approve with a letter acknowledging completion to release the bond or a letter of credit back to the applicant. With that being said, I'll turn it over to the board if there's questions.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, maybe I don't quite have a full understanding of it, but how about, can you speak to the maintenance of the township road with the use of the gravel pit application in front of us? I mean, I'm talking about maintenance, conditions, how do we handle that?
So the townships typically will send us their request if it's something that they don't want to hold as a bond for the township purpose. I did not receive anything from Lynn Township. So with that being said, it changes from township to township. So we have had surveys done, pre-existing conditions, where the township will ask that that road just be repaired and put back to the pre-existing condition after the completion of the project. I did not receive anything from Lynn Township Board for this request. So with that township, we require dust control per ordinance for the haul route out to the nearest pavement. So if we are looking for something to protect the road, I don't have anything in the form of a condition just because I haven't received anything from the township asking for that.
Thank you, Mark.
It is a very small stretch that would be on 160th Street.
Okay. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, sorry. Very familiar with the site, it's right down the road for me. It's Lynn Township Board didn't have any issues with the road. I think the rest of it follows ordinance, so it looks pretty
Sorry,
straightforward.
Commissioner, we can't hear you. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
you didn't turn the mic on yet, so.
There's nobody left here. It's all the kids left.
No, just a quick recap. Lynn Township Board has not had any concerns about the road evidently. The rest of it seems pretty straightforward according to our ordinance and other setbacks, things that we put on there, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Lori, anything to add? Nope. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C.
Item C is to consider approving conditional use permit 25-07 as requested by Joe White, B&H Aggregate, Kimball, Minnesota, to open a new gravel pit for the State Highway 212 project for mining excavation for a 5-year time period on property owned by William and Mary Parpart of Plato. The primary haul route will be south on Boone Road to State Highway 212. The lot size is approximately 28.66 acres of the 146.48 acre parcel located in Section 10 of Helen Township. The Helen Township Board recommended approval on March 13th, 2025. The McLeod County Advisory Commission recommended approval on March 26th, 2025 with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant shall submit a bond or letter of credit to McLeod County Environmental Services by May 15th, 2025 in the amount of $29,000. Number two, hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday shall be permitted as needed with a 24-hour notice to McLeod County Environmental Services. Saturday hours shall be 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Number three, the applicant shall meet all state National Pollution Discharge Elimination System NPDES requirements and apply for a Department of Natural Resource DNR dewatering permit if needed. Number four, the applicant shall restore pit area to existing grade as presented in the application. The McLeod County Environmental Service shall inspect all restoration work completed and approve with a letter acknowledging completion to release the bond or letter of credit back to the applicant. Number six, the applicant shall follow all mining standards contained in Section 16 of the McLeod County zoning ordinance, if not further restricted by this permit. Number seven, the applicant shall repair or replace any damaged tile. Number eight, the pit haul route shall be dust controlled when in use. Number nine, there shall be no stockpiling of material or spoil in the floodplain. Number 10, excavation shall stop 50 feet from the south side of the private ditch shown per the survey. The difference in the hours is due to the fact that there are no residential properties that are south from the pit excavation area to 212. This does run by Kanaki's nursery, so just for reference to that. Mr. White is looking to obtain more material just to complete that 212 project over by Bongards.
Wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Excuse me, just a comment. First, aggregate and fill and construction materials are getting harder and harder to get. So I appreciate it when our staff and landowners work together to try and come with a resolution to get to the construction sites reasonably. So with that, I'd move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
And I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Schmalz. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item D.
Consider approving conditional use permit 25-08 to allow Spruce Ridge landfill to expand the vertical height of the municipal solid waste pile on the south side of 137th Street per the plan submitted and the Minnesota Pollution Control approval. This property is 386.77 acres in size, located in Section 31 of Rich Valley Township. The Rich Valley Township Board recommended approval on February 11th, 2025. The McLeod County Advisory Commission, Planning Commission recommended approval on March 26, 2025, with the condition that all requirements upon MPC approval shall be met. Blair is here. I did go through this with the board at their solid waste advisory meeting in February, maybe March. I'm not sure. I can't remember the date. Went over the plans. I appreciate the detail that Carlson McCain and working with Blair on this project just to give us a thorough understanding in regards to what's being asked. There were a couple numbers just for clarification. The MSW would be expanded approximately 53 feet to the highest point, 60 plus feet with the cover. So just for reference, but that's not across the entire cross section from east to west on the pile. It's just at the highest point so they can maintain their slopes.
All right, we've seen this many different ways. Are there any questions for Mark, Blair, or what are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question for Mark or Blair. And I forget, they did a nice job of presenting it at our North Committee meeting, or, how many years did this estimated give us now before?
You've never been shy in your life, Blair, don't start now.
So at current volumes right now, probably an extra 6 to 7 years. So that would put the total life about 10 years on the
Okay.
south side of the road.
And the reason I brought this up is I'm okay with this request. I just, I have concerns about a bigger footprint, and again, a shameless comment that I hope we look for alternatives. I mean, you're a worthy partner to look at some alternatives with garbage, because I do have issues with an increased footprint. I mean, we're already there, and we have challenges with all the new PFAS and now whatever else is coming up, and I know the construction, or what is the right word for the other pit?
C&D,
I mean,
construction
these are
demolition.
getting to be
Yep.
all issues and costly to put up, so I just, I got a chance to say it again, but I'm looking for alternatives. I'm a burning guy, and I, you know, not to handle it again, and there's a lot of technology today. But, that's for another day. But with that, we went through this quite a bit, and I'm okay with it, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add, for us, it's one simple agenda item, but for Waste Management, this has been, I believe, months or even years in the making in order to fill out all the paperwork to be able to come for our approval here today, so.
And I'm also in support of it, and I appreciate all the effort and the material, the information we got to help us make these decisions, because this is a big one, you know, pardon the pun. But it's a big one that we have to address, so. Any further discussion?
One more comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And that is, I mean, it's a commodity. Garbage is a commodity. You know, a lot of people do some research, and everybody sets out their garbage and hates to pay the bill, but, I mean, costs are getting higher, and I just, around the metro area, as that grows, things are being realigned, so we're right outside that edge, and I hope we can work a partnership to hang in there, because it's not just McLeod County's garbage. I mean, they're a wholesaler, at lack of a better word, of garbage, so, thank you.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, item E, tabled from our last meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it is to consider approving conditional use permit 25-03 as requested by Glencoe Light and Power for the expansion of the generating facility located at 10975 Diamond Avenue, Glencoe, Minnesota, for the installation of 3 new 3,100 kilowatt Caterpillar diesel-fired electrical generating units, which would provide 9.3 megawatt total capacity in a new building that is approximately 60 by 101. This property is described as 2.67 acres, located in that part of the northwest quarter of Section 17, Helen Township. Parcel number as stated 07.017.0825. The Helen Township Board recommended approval at their meeting on February 13th, 2025. The McLeod County Advisory Commission recommended approval on March 26th, 2025, with the following conditions. Number 1, all drainage, tile, and patterns be repaired to pre-construction condition as soon as possible after construction. Number 2, a portable restroom during construction of the new structure and generator placement be brought on site. I believe at the last meeting, this item was tabled, looking at options for screening. So with that, I'll turn it back to the board. I do know Mr. Meyer's present. We do have a couple of neighbors that are present, so if there are questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, how do you want to start? Commissioner Kruger, go ahead.
Yeah, someone has to start, but I just received this picture, which was kind of enlightening for me, because I had no idea, and I don't know, before Mr. Meyer wants to say anything, is this similar to what we're gonna have here? I mean, it looks quite,
Has he seen the picture?
yeah, I should have one. And is this similar to what you'd? Because ultimately, what we're trying to here is get you a permit and get the, you know, they're close neighbors.
The quantity of generation capability of the facility in the picture is similar. It's going to be different because the facility that you've got a picture of, the radiators are on a brick building with the radiators on top of the building. The radiators on this will not be on top of the building. So it's different in that respect. It's also, we're putting up a metal building, similar to call it a pole barn, if you will. It will be a steel structure, but with metal siding. The radiators will be remote outside the building. There will still be the exhaust stacks. The exhaust stacks are on the north side, will be located on the north side of the building, which is the same size as the intakes. Radiators will be located on the south side of the building.
Just similar to the way these stacks look. I'm not talking about dimensions, but I mean, is it?
Yep,
is it-
similar to that.
They're coming out and going.
Yep.
Going up. I have no more questions. I know,
And then I know that one of the issues that was raised previously was screening. I've done some research and consideration into that, and have decided that we have committed to screening the entire perimeter of the fence with PVC mesh screening. I've contacted the company, received quotes from them, have explained to the other parties involved in this thing that our commitment is to screen the entire perimeter of the facility. So the entire fence and gates will all be screened upon completion of the fence. The fence, the current southern line of the fence will move 100 feet south. So until the fence is constructed, obviously we can't screen it. But as soon as it's prudent to put the screening up, we will. It's actually like it's a 6 or 7 foot fence. The existing height of the fence, sorry.
Okay.
So we've made the commitment to screen it.
Thank you. The board have anything, or landowner, or neighbors?
Like you said, last month you had plenty of electricity through Bitcoin factory. Now you don't have enough electricity.
Sir, just, I got you. Sir, if you wish to address the board, that is fine. I'll allow that, but you'll need to go up to the podium when it's your turn and give us your name, and then we'll work through that. So, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess the only thing I would ask it would be is if they could put screening around the radiators themselves to deflect the noise. I guess I don't know how tall they are. I know there's a 6-foot fence out there right now. It would be nice to have that done to minimize the sound, you know, from the radiators themselves. I guess if we could do that, you know, that would be helpful for us, you know, and not letting the sound go completely straight south and deflect it to maybe east or west, you know. That would be, like I said, helpful to us and keep the noise down to a minimum. I did learn yesterday when I was in Wyndham, I talked to that fellow there, and I guess I don't know, Dave has to know this. He had said that if there's the low-speed fans that are put on there, they do generate a lot less noise on the radiators. Maybe that's an option. I don't know if that's what they have. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I guess that's all I would ask is to put something around the radiators themselves to minimize the noise. Since he's already putting it around the perimeter, so.
Okay, any questions? Sir, did you wish to address the board? All right, please come and give us your name and address.
Yeah, David Address,
Yes, sir.
1103 Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah, last month he said he has plenty of electricity for his new Bitcoin factory. Now this month he doesn't have enough electricity. And who's gonna pay for the new generators besides us?
Sir, I want to point out that this is pretty specific to what the board is addressing today. It's regarding the conditional use permit, specific to some items that we sent back 2 weeks ago regarding screening. So if you're going to try to ask us about,
I'm asking you, who's paying for them?
well, probably the residents, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to get into that because that is a different topic and a different issue. So if you have some
Oh.
specific questions regarding the topics that we have in front of us, I'm happy to listen.
Yeah, 3 Caterpillar. It's got 7 locomotives in there now for electricity. Now you need 3 more Caterpillars?
That's not an answer that I have. And again, it's not the topic that we're addressing.
Why do you need the electricity then?
That's not a question for me or this board.
Mr. Chair, this is just, our decision today is just for a conditional use permit. Everything else is done by Glencoe Light and Power. So that needs to be addressed to them. This is just whether we permit the use of that property to set them on. We don't have anything else to do with what you're talking about. I happen to know something about that, but that is irrelevant to today's.
It's not for our electricity, it's for their Bitcoin electricity.
Sir, do you have a question specific to the conditional use permit?
Yeah, who's gonna use the conditional electricity?
That would be a question for Glencoe Light and Power, not for this board. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I have one more question. Dave, when you said the difference, and I don't know, I have no I looked at this and I kind of appreciated Mr. Posey going down and get this because I had really no idea. Now this one, like you said, sits in a roof. Are these gonna sit inside the building and louver out, or are they gonna sit independent from the building?
They would be remote generators outside the building, or remote radiators outside the
So
building.
most likely they will be low, pretty much below your fence line.
No, they'll still protrude above the fence line.
Okay.
Any
Any idea of how, I know you probably don't have that answer, but any idea how high they stand?
Probably the top of them might be about 22 feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're a taller item. They'll come out of the building at about, the pipes will come out of the building at about 12 feet high. I believe, I'm not positive, I've not seen the design of them, so I believe the fans are on the bottom of the radiators. They'll blow the air up through the radiators.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest with you, I quite frankly think this is a solution in search of a problem. I have drawings that showed an engineer estimating the decibel levels at a few hundred feet at 55 dB, and it's louder than that in this room right now. And I really highly doubt that my engineers would provide me a number that's a lowball number, because they're putting their name on it. So I would suspect that it's an extremely conservative number. I've visited with all the parties involved, and I sincerely believe that they likely won't even be heard. And that's, I guess, I know that Commissioner Kruger and I have had a couple of conversations with this, and if I could find a solution to something, I'd be happy to consider it, but I quite frankly can't find a solution. Shy of building a 25-foot wall, a 30-foot wall, I just don't see one, and honestly, I don't know that it's even a problem.
And I'm just trying to get I have no reason other than trying to understand the logistics. Are those radiators gonna sit then probably on the north side or the
South side of the building.
South side of the building, okay.
Yep. Intakes and exhausts on the north side, the radiators on the south side.
I don't want to cut you off. I just have a question for Mark.
Yeah.
We move forward with the permit, adding the proposed screening by the company. And I think I know the answer, at least I hope I do. And something is out of whack. It's way louder, not trying to, just hear me out. It's way louder than we thought it was gonna be. The engineers hustled you. We can bring this back, right?
That is correct.
So this has been difficult for me because, and I appreciate how kind everybody's been throughout it. And it's weird that without the controversy, it's hard to navigate because everybody's trying to find the solution together, and I really appreciate that. At least that's from my 10,000-foot view. With the knowledge that we're able to bring it back if there's a problem, yeah, I'm ready to move forward on it. I'll stop short of a motion, but I guess, I don't know what the rest of the board feels like. I know we've all put some time and effort into it, and I know I have, and I'm glad I did, but that's where I'm at. Commissioner Schmalz?
Thanks for expressing your feelings, Commissioner Nagel. My feelings now, after thinking about this for a couple of weeks, is I'm not 100% on board with the conditional use permit as before us. It was mentioned earlier about screening, and to me, and now we have incorporated a component of noise. So for me to approve this permit, I would like to see some noise or sound mitigation plan that could be carried out. Commissioner Nagel kind of touched on it, saying we can bring it back, but I'm not quite satisfied with that. Like I said, I wish we could incorporate a noise or sound mitigation plan with the permit.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So Minnesota Rule 7030, we talked about this at our last meeting, has classes for specific use. Utilities are in a class 3 noise area. So that noise, the generation of the noise to the residents, to the immediate perimeter of the residence, that's where we're taking the noise reading from, the decibel reading from. At the Planning Commission meeting, what was presented to us by the engineers, the information given was it will not exceed that. So their conservative estimate was 55 decibels, and that was at a distance of 200 feet. Both residences are outside of that distance. To mitigate for a concern, we would really have to know what level of mitigation we're talking about. So that's where, as staff, I have concerns, to ask for a blanket condition to be put on the applicant when we don't really know, the level of those noise, and then not trying to minimize your request. Going back to what the board chair had asked for, Commissioner Nagel had asked for, we have the ability to bring that back in if there's concerns with that noise and we feel that it's above and beyond what the level is allowed for per Minnesota Rule 7030. We don't have any devices within our county to be able to measure that noise. We'd have to contact MPCA to help and assist with that. So I do know that there was some concerns in that. I've also done my research, talked with staff down in Cottonwood County on Friday about this. They had made reference that they don't hear it. It's lower than the road traffic noise in regards to the location of that. So again, it's hard to mitigate for a concern if we really don't know to what level that concern is.
Mr. Chair, follow-up question?
Yes.
Thanks for the explanation, Mark. I think I'm understanding what you're stating. So let's say if we were to add a condition of a decibel reading to this permit, would that be appropriate?
I'll let that, I think I'll defer that to staff, to our attorney. because of the rule and the standard that we have in rule of what's an acceptable level based on utility class. That's 80 decibels. So with that being said, and the estimate that was given of 55 decibels, you're looking at, and again, I don't want to speak for you, Commissioner, but you're looking at possibly putting a number there that would be below the threshold?
Thank you, Mark. I understand what you're saying. The threshold being 80,
That's correct.
and
Go
the statements quoted are at basically 55. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dave.
I talked to Mark on Friday, and he had mentioned that he had talked to the Cottonwood County person. And in the pictures that you see that the radiator's on top of the building and set back from the edge. Even when that's running, if you're on the ground, you're not going to get a correct decibel reading. There is no way, because you could put that on top of here and stand out there, and you're not going to get the same that if it's on the ground. Sure. So that needs to be clarified.
To where the reading comes from, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
You know, I mean, with it up here and down here is going to be extremely different.
Ryan, do you have anything to add on that topic? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm good anyway.
Well, I'd be cautious of imposing restrictions beyond what's already provided for in those external sources. I mean, the 80 decibels is there for a reason. I mean, I think to arbitrarily pick a number lower than that, we'd want to build a better record than what we have. So I mean, if that were the intent, it'd be hard to come up with that number that's lower than 80 today.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Mark, what is the other, what's the transportation noise or whatever category that comes in? I can't remember.
They're exempt.
For instance, railroad's exempt as well?
Transportation is exempt.
So railroad or cars or, okay.
We can share.
And typically they're exempt, Commissioner, because they do exceed that 80 decibel levels. So in the rule, they are exempt.
So, I mean, I just appreciate too, all the patience and the work that was done. I mean, I'm proud of Dave driving all the way down there and getting us some information on this, but however, I don't think we can pick a number below the state standard without being open to litigation. I mean, I'll just throw it out there, and if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong, I guess, but I mean, that is, I mean, in our conversations, this is what I'm getting a little nervous about, but.
And again, just in full transparency, I have spoke to the neighbors, been very good conversation with Mr. Paulzine, and in regards to the information that's been presented to us by the applicant, I would have nothing else to go on because it hasn't been built out yet. That is, again, from a staff's perspective, from a measurable, I don't know what we're measuring until it's constructed, and if it's anticipated that it's going to be below that threshold, I think from a staff's perspective, I don't want to necessarily think we have to address something until it becomes a problem, and I'm not being disrespectful to the neighbors out there, but if it does become an issue, we have the right, as we've talked, to bring that back in and potentially impose conditions to mitigate for that.
I can't remember a day when we had so many subjects that we didn't have any idea on, and this is another one. So I guess what I'd like to do is ask Mr. Paulzine or Dave, do you have a number that you're satisfied? Because we don't know. I mean,
No,
I
know.
can't guess that. I mean, and I have no
But I
expertise
mean, the
in
number
that.
that was given to us at 200 feet is a estimate
Right.
from the engineer. I mean, there's no proof of that that's what it's going to actually be. I mean,
And I liked your point about being on the roof. Technically, on the roof
Well,
could be
and-
louder than it is when it's sitting
You know,
down.
and-
So I don't know what these are gonna do. They might be deflected in how they're set up. I don't know.
I talked to Dave on Friday, and I talked to Mark on Friday And, you know, both of them had the conversation. Dave had the conversation with Jason down there at Wyndham, and Mark had a conversation with the other county guy. And they both ended the conversation with, you know, had some traffic noise. Well, I was down there yesterday, and the building is actually, what separates the 4-lane highway going through Wyndham is a sidewalk, and then it's the building. And there's a tremendous amount of traffic on that. And so I got a hold of MnDOT, and they, excuse me, they told me where to go. Actually, in 2023, there's 11,921 cars or vehicles that go past there every single day. So, I mean, you can't say this is what it's going to be down there because we don't have that traffic noise over here. We just have the fan noise, so.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And I understand what Mr. Polzini is talking about. I live along a state highway that has 12,000 cars a day. And after, you know, 70 years of hearing it, I block it out. So yes, what you're stating, a traffic noise can mask the noise from the Wyndham plant, I believe, in what you're stating.
All right, we'll see where it goes. I move to approve the permit 2503 from Glencoe Light and Power with the addition of the screening proposed by the applicant. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Chachka. Motion on the table, any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Wright?
just add a quick comment. I think that definitely appreciate the conversations that have been had over the past couple weeks when we tabled this. Great conversation with Mr. Paulzine as well. In the meantime, the conversation and noise gets to be such a subjective topic, and the only thing that we really have to nail it down to is the decibel rating. And so, I mean, we've got the paperwork in front of us. The state declares an exemption there, so we really don't have a good leg to stand on if we wanted to take it any further anyways. We do have the engineer's report that has declared it, you know, 55. But if down the road, the number definitely exceeds that exemption, then we know for sure that we have the ability to bring it back here. And so I think that approving the motion as stated is the right thing to do. And if these numbers come in completely out of line, we definitely have the ability then to bring it back. I think that that's the only route that we have in front of us today that actually gives us a good clear path.
Commissioner Schmalz?
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry, that cut you
before we take the vote, and this might kind of go into the reasoning on why I'm going to vote against the conditional use permit. Why aren't these cited, let's say, in an industrial park? Where I do believe, maybe Mark, you're again the expert on what industrial parks can and can't allow. But that's my question is, could there be an alternative location that this could have been cited into?
So counties are regional government. Typically, we don't have districts established similar to municipalities, cities, so we don't typically have a commercial or an industrial district. We have uses that require rezoning to that specific use. In McLeod County, we try to keep those as close to the municipal boundary as possible, within 2 miles for rezoning. And we typically like to make sure that they're similar in nature to the surrounding area. So a lot of these substations that are pre-existing are priorly located. So again, I don't want to speak for the co-op or for other utility providers, but these requests, I believe, that we're seeing today are in reaction to existing infrastructure that's already been built out when densities weren't to what they are today.
I'd also like to throw out, it's interesting when you use the term industrial park, because one of the things that I found interesting as I've worked in this industry for a lot of years, first of all, it's prudent to build it out where the substations are, or where your plant is. And as Mark indicated, they're built out before the generating station is, so you're kind of, you're steered that way because of the practical place to put it. But one other thing to please keep in mind, when you start talking about an industrial park, especially when you start talking about communities this size, the size of Hutchinson, it's very common to have the residential, the properties that are zoned residential to be literally right across the street from property that's zoned industrial. So just blanket into saying that you're going to install an industrial park, it very likely can affect residents much more by being across the road, 100 feet away from an industrial zoning than, you know, many hundreds of feet away. So just wanted to throw that insight out.
On the motion, any further discussion?
I have one.
I appreciate the response. Another thing that comes up in my mind is how many substations we have in the county. And I realize that not every substation is going to be generating electricity, but we're moving in a direction that can change here in the matter of decades. So can we get it right this time around? Probably not. But those are the cautionary statements I wanted to make, which kind of explains, you know, the vote that I'll be doing here shortly.
Commissioner Kruger?
I'm a little bit confused on, Dave just handed out a noise area qualification, and they vary from time to day. I mean, what's the difference between your 40-70, or what was it, 70-30 rule and this variable one where daytime, nighttime changes? And I'd sooner argue, or not argue, but set a number here now than have to come back later. Do we have a number that we can go by, that if it's higher than these decimals, something has to be done? Because this one that I'm looking at, depends on the area, but they vary from 65 to 50 or 80 to 75 from daytime to night. I just don't, can you answer that question?
I don't know what he gave you, and so specific to the class in the rule, it lists specifically, so if he, I don't know what Dave gave you in regards to what page of the rule. But was it, what was it relational to utilities?
Well, you said, utilities, category 3.
Give this to Mark.
The only reason I'm not trying to split hairs, I just want to, if we go through, I want to know a number that we've either passed or didn't, without having to decide which number that is.
So in regards to that, these are basics. So these are more of a generalized, because it's a formula that they're just trying to show you how they break that down for periods of time. When you get down further into the rule is where they get specific. So the corresponding page to utilities specifically, I would have to go back and grab the rule itself. I did not bring that with. In regards to 5 decibels for a difference between 80 and 75, that's still 20, it's still an increase of 20 above what's being proposed.
Commissioner Smalls, you got another comment?
Yeah, and I'll make it short. Another consideration I have is if we're talking about noise, I look at the mining permits that we just processed a few minutes ago. We limit hours of operation. Hours of operation, unless I'm wrong, Dave, we'll have no control over hours of operation of this facility. So, I mean, it's a little bit where I'm coming from with the vote and the way I vote here in a few minutes.
Any further discussion?
One more thing, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm beating this horse, but that's all right. I'm a little concerned, setting a precedence of, farm drying units. I mean, they're exempt, I know that, but, are we starting I want to make sure we're within the rule and taking our citizens and, keeping them as safe and sound as possible, pardon the pun, but, do you are you understanding where I'm coming from? That does start setting a precedence.
So as I stated at our last meeting, egg is exempt.
I know, but the sound is there, so I mean.
But that performance standard is exempt.
Okay.
So there can be a complaint, but current ordinance exempts that activity. So if you want to do field work at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're 100 feet from the neighbor's home, there's nothing that we currently have in ordinance that would allow for me to bring that in.
Any further discussion before I call the question? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Roll call, Commissioner Kruger,
No?
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmalz,
No.
Commissioner Chachka,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes, motion passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to county administration, review of our calendars, Commissioner Kruger.
It's here somewhere, Mr. Chair, I'll get it.
That's okay. I kind of threw it at you fast.
Thank you. First.
Commissioner Wright, why don't you go?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. After our last board meeting, we did have our workshop. Budget committee also met. One of the many topics that we covered was just the upcoming negotiations. On the 10th of April, had a few minutes to stop in at Fairgrounds Commission, where we talked about some of the upcoming smaller projects happening there as we get ready for a very busy season of using the McLeod County Fairgrounds. Then had to run across town to our feedlot meeting. Main topic there was perhaps some ordinance or policy changes dealing with out-of-county manure storage and spreading. That's kind of an oncoming discussion. We'll be meeting again in approximately a month to see if there's any, what could be called moving the dial on some of the restrictions covered there. After that, a couple phone calls about some items on today's agenda, and that brings me here.
Commissioner Kruger, you ready?
Yep. On the 3rd, I attended the open house at Broughton for the 15-212 roundabout. Lori or Commissioner Chuska can probably comment on some more, but it was just basically to look at the drawings, talking to the engineers that were there and a few of the neighbors. On the 4th, we had our meeting here on legislative priorities. We had a number of our elected officials here and talked about our different priorities coming up for 2025. On the 7th, I had MRC board meeting by Zoom. Basically the same thing, being that we're in the middle of the legislative season. We were going through our priorities and shortcomings or advantages to some of the policies that we were bringing forward. On the 8th, I had 2 interviews for our Buffalo Creek Watershed Board of Presidents. We had 2 excellent candidates. I would be proud to have either one. And I guess I'll let our administrator go through the findings of that, but both candidates were excellent, and I'm proud to say that a new one came forward, and they're always an asset to us as a county. On the 10th, I had agenda review. The 11th, I had Southwest Area District 8 Transportation meeting. It was a review of all the upcoming transportation policy, tied up, easy for you to say. Construction areas in District 8, and again, our closest ones that are impact us are here in Plato, which is starting with the crossover on the bridge on 212 and Broughton roundabout. And then yesterday, the 14th, we had a short budget meeting that we talked about earlier in our meeting with the elevator.
Throughout the last couple of weeks, I'm sorry, Paul, you had everything covered. Workshop, some personnel-related issues that come up throughout the weeks. Union negotiation with the ASME unit. We've met with all but one of them now, if I'm saying that correctly, all but one on their initial meeting. Good positive discussions, and I appreciate that. Worked on some road issues in Hutchinson Township that we'll need to continue to talk about. Lots of research and phone calls regarding the issue we just dealt with. our legislative meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, which was good. And moving, I guess, kind of piggybacking off that, I had some calls from other counties regarding our legislative priorities specific to the mandates. And then I had a good talk, one-on-one with Representative Harder, who actually does not represent the district where I'm at, but has been just a wonderful advocate and friend for this area. So pretty productive couple weeks that way. Commissioner Schmalz?
Thank you, Commissioner Nagel. Since our last board meeting, we held a workshop here on the 1st of April. And on the 3rd of April, Thursday, I had a Prime West Joint Powers Board meeting. There was a snowstorm that occurred the day before Prime West, so they were struggling to make sure that their quorum was met. So at their request, they had me Zoom that meeting here from the Glencoe Government Center. That satisfied their quorum requirements, and the meeting went on as planned, and I could maintain my vote with the action I took. And then on Friday the 4th, we started the morning here with a closed session county board meeting and moved to the McLeod County's legislative meeting here at the Government Center and that's Friday the 4th. Monday the 7th, as Commissioner Kruger stated, MRC meeting, which I Zoomed. It's a legislative update. Senator Hochschild was the guest speaker, and we had the opportunity to ask questions if we wanted to of the senator. And our lobby gave us updates on what's happening in St. Paul. On Tuesday the 8th, we had a union negotiations committee meeting by Zoom. During the latter portions of the week, I also took a phone call regarding some assessments and taxes. It kind of surrounds around classifications on parcels. I referred the person to work with the assessor's office and also contacted the assessor's office to make sure that they are communicating with the individual that called me from my district. Also took a call regarding the permit that we just issued to Glencoe Light and Power over the generation equipment as being proposed. That's my update, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Chachka?
Sounds like mine's gonna start out the same as most everyone else. Workshop after the meeting on the 1st.
Best spot to sit.
Prime West. Prime West on the 3rd. I just Zoomed those as Nathan is the head one on that. The roundabout meeting on that night, as Doug said, it was good. I think they had over 30 people attend, which made them happy that they had that. They had lots of suggestions from a lot of people on how they should redo it. But it sounds like they'll have one more open house, I would say early next year before they start the process. On the Friday the 4th, we had the meeting before the legislative update. Let's see, last Wednesday, I had a PAC meeting here in Glencoe. I've also been taking some calls and emails from some people on the Ditch 12 that we have coming up tomorrow, and some assessing issues that somebody in my district had run into. So I've been working kind of with the assessor's office on that, on how to handle it. And then a couple of my committees that I'm on are running into funding issues through the state. One had their COVID money taken away, and some other issues of funding. So we're kind of working through those on some of those, but that's it.
Anything from the attorney's office?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
one last thing that I don't see in the agenda, and it probably doesn't have to be, it was mentioned at the last meeting, but just like to remind our commissioners and whoever that the 12A public hearing repair meeting is tomorrow at 9 a.m. And so, put it on your calendars or try to make it.
Oh, can I make one more
Yes, you may.
comment? Just a reminder, In 3 weeks, on that Tuesday night from 4 to 6 is the economic development forum that Liz has set up at the fairgrounds, so make sure you get online and sign up for that. The 2 speakers that she's lined up look really good, so make sure you sign up for that.
Good reminder.
Sheila? Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Consider filling the open appointment on the Buffalo Creek Watershed District Board of Managers for a 3-year term beginning May 18, 2025 and expiring May 17, 2028.
Do we have recommendations or
I believe Commissioner Kruger has a recommendation. Myself and Commissioner Kruger met with candidates.
Yeah,
who's your recommendation, Doug?
We had to, first of all, I just want to make sure that the official, it's Board of Presidents, and not that it makes any difference, or it does make a difference to them, but that's what they go by as Board of Presidents. And, yeah, we decided to stay with Chad Stewie. Just the biggest, one of the bigger reasons is his experience in a couple of projects that he has started, and the area in which he lives works well with that. And I said in my calendar report that they're both excellent candidates, and I'm gonna do my best to try and I wouldn't hurt the rest of the boards to keep in mind his qualifications, and if there's a place for him, I would sure contact him. Is it appropriate to say who it is, or don't we know?
Should be public, right? Brian, it'd be public who the candidates were.
Yep.
Who was the other candidate?
The other candidate was Nate Zimmerman.
Okay.
From the Lake Marion area. He works, I have worked with him before on, he works on hydro engineering out of Young America.
Okay.
A very smart, good kid, farm background, works with his dad. I think Commissioner Wright's familiar with him as well, good background, and
It's always a
it was
good.
a hard decision, but he's, you don't want to lose good and you want to gain, so it's a hard decision, but I sure recommend that people jot his name down. He'd be an asset if we can find something that fits his.
Sounds like a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Doug, is that a motion to appoint Chad Stewie?
That would be a motion to appoint Chad Stewie.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Sheila?
Thank you. Item B, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, May 6, 2025 at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. Thank you.
Open forum, press relations, anything from the press? All right, thank you for coming. Looking for a motion to recess to our next meeting, 9 a.m. Tuesday, May 6th, McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota.
Move recess, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Schmalz, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Liz?
So point, I can take that tentative workshop off that night for the 29th.
Unless we're gonna show up for an elevator meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Might have to do that.